Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's so good to see you all. We're gonna get started in our service. If you could all make sure you grab your seats and your siddur, and we're gonna get started with Hine Ma Tov. How wonderful it is for us all to be here together. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, 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 shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, yadadai dadadadadadai. Hine ma tov, yadadai dadadadadadai. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, yadadai dadadadadadai. Hine ma tov, yadadai dadadadadadai. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome. It's so good to see you all here live in our sanctuary for the first time in quite a while. It's good to see friends together again. That's really the spirit of Hine Ma Tov. How good, how pleasant it is for us all to dwell here together. We're going to continue in our service with the candle lighting. So we're going to welcome Tina up to the bottom of the bima. And if you would like to read the on page 121 for us all, a reading on the candles as these Shabbat candles. Beautiful. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you. Well, we're going to continue now with our family blessing. So for those who are streaming at home, if you want to take a moment to gather in your families, those of us here in the sanctuary, if you want to gather in close to your temple family together, join me please with the family blessing. It means so much to hear you all singing along. Beautiful. We're going to now continue in our Siddur on page 124 with a reading for Shabbat. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hope to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. If you'll join me, we will continue with Chatzi Kaddish on page 144. If you're inclined to rise for the Chatzi Kaddish, you're welcome to do so. Yitkada v'yitkada shemei Rabbah Be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala uv'izman kariv ve'imeru Amen Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach Le'alam u'lalmei amaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei V'yithadar v'yit'alev v'yithalal Shemei dekudshah b'richu Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Da'amiran be'alma Ve'imeru, Amen. You may be seated. Now we want to take this opportunity to welcome the Sabbath bride. So if you'll join me on page 138 through 139 in singing Lecha Dodi. La 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 lecha dodi La 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 likad kala La 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 Pnei Shabbat nekabela Shamor vezachor B'dibur echad Hishmiyanu el hamyuchad Adonai echad U'shmo echad L'shemu tiferet v'litila Yalla elai la 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 lecha dodi La 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 likad kala La 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 Pnei Shabbat nekabela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha Ki mekor haberacha Merosh miketz מחשבה תחילה. יאללה אליי, לה 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 לך דודי. לה 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 לקראת כלה. לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. You'll take a moment to rise and face the doorway to greet the Sabbath bride. בואי בשלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. יאללה אליי, לה 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 לך דודי. לה 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 לקראת כלה. יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבל. לה 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 לך דודי. לה 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 לקראת כלה. לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. Please remain standing for the Barachu, which you will find on page 146 of your Siddur. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. You may be seated. Some of you may be familiar with this next song. It's called Roll Into Dark, and it's our evening prayer, Ma'ariv Aravim, where we recognize the beauty and the importance of the nighttime sky, which really should be heading to full-on nighttime right about now. So it's the perfect time. Please join me. The English words are roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. And the Ma'ariv Aravim prayer can be found on page 148 in the Siddur. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, golel lo mipnei choshech, golel lo mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, golel lo mipnei choshech, golel lo mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. If you'll join me now, we come to the Shema, the watchword of our people. I know it's a tradition here to stand during the Shema, so if you would like to do that, please do, whatever your comfort level is. And you can find the Shema on page 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. We join now together on the Ve'ahavta, and you will find that on page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha uvechol nafshecha uvechol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvish'arecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Adonai Elohechem Emet. You may be seated. I'd love for us to join together for a reading on page 157, Standing on the Parted Shores of History. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. We come now to Micha Mocha on page 158. The song that we sing on those parted shores. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So I want to take a moment here to talk about this week's parasha, which is Matot Maseh. Now, Matot Maseh isn't what you would really call a very eventful or dramatic parasha. It's not like the floods of Noah, or it's not like the binding of Isaac. It's not like the parting of the Sea of Reeds. It's a little bit more withdrawn than that, but there still is plenty that it has to teach us. So in this week's parasha, the tribes of Reuven and Gad, Reuben and Gad, they ask for particular land for their cattle east of the River Jordan, when they do finally get the chance to settle the land. So they're not in the land yet, they're petitioning for it. So something that we learn from them is advocate for yourself. Ask for what you want. I don't think that is a very light lesson. I think we all need to learn sometimes to ask for what we want. Being our own advocates is a very, very valuable life lesson that we can all learn from this week's parasha. Now, the next thing that happens after they've asked for the land is that Moses doesn't really want to give them that land right away. It's a very lush piece of land, and Maybe he's a little angry at first, but finally he decides, okay, you can have that land, but there's a caveat. And those tribes, they need to join and lead the battles that are ahead in order to conquer that land. So the lesson that we learn from this is be prepared to work hard to earn it. Very valuable life lesson. We can't just ask for handouts. Sometimes we need to really work hard to earn those opportunities, even when they're handed to us, right? We still need to put in that work. Now, another one, and I think this is really the biggest lesson to be learned from this week's parasha, and it's more of a metaphor than a direct lesson, but we know that the boundaries are set for the promised land in this parasha. Now, the concept of boundaries is something I think we all are continually learning about. Even here today, we have people wearing masks, and many people are vaccinated but still wearing them because we are setting these boundaries of safety for each other, for our community, as we're avoiding the Delta variant. We all care about each other's safety, and boundaries are something that promotes safety. So not only that, but you have the comfort of knowing where you stand. Where are you? I'm in these boundaries. In fact, something interesting about the Torah and about Hebrew is that the same root for a stream or a river, nachal, is also the same root, nun chet lamed. It's the same root that we use to refer to inheritances, because we know that those boundaries were often marked by streams or rivers, things like that. So boundaries have a direct correlation between our inheritance, like the land, the physical aspect, as well as the legacy that we have moving forward, that we have from our inheritance. And you'll even see that word if you look more closely at the Friday night Kiddush. It's in there a couple of times about our inheritance. So what does it mean to set a boundary? I think it means something different to everyone, but we all know that healthy boundaries are so important in our daily lives, in our relationships, professional relationships and personal, in our private lives. Sometimes we have to set those boundaries in order to know what's healthy for ourselves and for others. And so really it's a metaphor, but I think it's really important to keep in mind that those boundaries, now our people had 12 different tribes, right? So there could have been infighting if they didn't have those boundaries. Who's to say whose land is whose, where are they going to settle? And this parasha demonstrates to us that we really need those boundaries to protect our relationships, because if that infighting occurred among the people, where would we be today, right? So just as they set those boundaries for the land, we too need to set boundaries for our personal lives. And I think even though it's maybe not as dramatic as some of the other parshiot, I think it's still every bit as valuable. This is living Torah that we live every day. So I hope moving forward into the week and months ahead, we just remember the lesson from Parasha Matot Maseh, setting healthy boundaries, being prepared to work hard, and advocating for ourselves. These are lessons that we can take with us every day. We're going to continue now in the service with a nighttime prayer for safety and for shelter and peace. Some of you may remember this is an original piece of mine. It's called Shelter, and it's taken from part of the Hashkivenu prayer, which you can find on page 160 in the Siddur, but it's just the words Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha, and that means shelter us with your peace. So if you'd like to sing along, please join me on that chorus. Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha, shelter us with your peace. And the rest of the song is in English. We need your strength tonight, as we do every night. Please grant us peace of mind, all worries far behind. Shelter us. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us with your peace. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us with your peace. Please guard this night of rest. Let it be one that's blessed. Shelter us. Let us lie down in peace. Let pain and violence cease. Shelter us. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us with your peace. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us with your peace. Amidst uncertainty, we need security. Please shelter us. We now come to the centerpiece of our service, the Amidah. So I would like to invite you to please rise. And we are joining together on page 164 for the Amidah. Adonai sefatai tifkach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Hachstei Avot ve'imahot, U'mevi ge'ula livnei v'neihem, Leman shemo be'ahava, Melech ozer u'moshia u'magin. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah, Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umidol melach, melech nemid umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, ונאמנתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Please continue at your own pace with the silent Amidah. If you haven't yet concluded your personal meditations for the Amidah, please continue to do so. We're going to continue now with a meditation of Yehi L'Ratzon Nimrei Fi, which you will find on page 178. Yehi L'Ratzon Nimrei Fi, Yehi L'Ratzon Nimrei Fi, Ve'yan libi lefanecha, Adonai tzuri ve'go'ali. Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru, ve'imeru, amen. We're going to continue in our service with our Misha Berach prayer, a prayer for healing for all those in our community, all those in our hearts who could use a bit of healing. I'll invite you to think of some of those names, and we might have the opportunity to go around and say some of them in between the first and second verses. You'll find the words to the Misha Berach prayer on page 371 in your Siddur. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. For those who are on our stream and watching along, please hold those names in your heart. If you are able to type them where you are, feel free to type them and bring the healing energy to those names. If anyone in the room would like to add a name for our Misha Berach prayer, please do so. Go ahead. And of course, we want to hold in our hearts the names of all the members, family members, friends, and co-workers on our on our Misha Berach list we have in our pamphlet. We wish everyone swift and full healing. You can join me on the second verse. Misha Berach imotenu mekor habracha la'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. If you will all please rise, we are going to join together in Aleinu on page 586, and we'll open the ark so we can all have a moment before the ark with the Torahs for Aleinu. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You may be seated. Of course, no prayer service would be complete if we didn't take the opportunity to pray the Mourner's Kaddish. Everyone who is currently observing either the Shiva, the first week, the Shloshim, the month period, or the full Shana, the full year, would invite to stand. And as well as anyone who is observing a yahrzeit, I'm going to take this moment to read the Kaddish list to honor those who we love who are gone. We are saying Kaddish for the victims of the Florida tragedy, for Barbara Bolter, for Sandra Gainan, Charlotte Hellman, Sylvia Miller, Karen Ness, Fred Michaels, Linda Luna, Dr. C. Harold Cohn, Barbara Abraham, Ernestine Erkin, Earl Sanders, Larry Moskowitz, Rebecca Kaufman, Howard Schwartz, and we are observing yahrzeits for William Aberman, David Bernstein, Charlotte Christie, Edward Cornell, Dana Haskin, Etta Kays, Frida Klein, Lionel Lambert, Jane Linkowski, Harold Marcus, Robert Myers, Sarah Muskies, Nelita Renskoff, Sidney Spiel, Norman Strauss, Bonnie Van Allen, Koppel Bloom, Adele Brilliant, Ezekiel Booth Jr., Melvin Fields, Solomon Levy, Arthur Miller, Michael Lewis Staff, David Solomon Schwartz, Rose Weisberg, Theodore M. Brostoff, David I. Kirschbaum, and if anyone in the congregation now would like to add any names for our Kaddish prayer, feel free to stand and do so. And we also like to honor the tradition. If you would like to stand in solidarity for those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, or with the rest of the community, we stand as a community in reciting the Kaddish prayer. Please join me on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol bet Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam ul'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. We pray that their memories will continue to be for a blessing. Amen. You may be seated. We always like to conclude that Kaddish prayer with the very last couple of lines, Oseh Shalom, we continually pray for peace. Please join me on Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. I'd like to welcome our immediate past president, Maggie Freed, to the microphone for some announcements.
Thank you, Cantor. Shabbat Shalom, and how wonderful to see you here and to be here in the sanctuary. Ooh. So we have many events coming up as usual. Tomorrow morning at 10:30 on Zoom, you can join us for our Minyan and Torah study. On Monday at 7 o'clock on Zoom is the Emotional Resiliency Program. And next Saturday, join Cantor Alyssa a week from tomorrow for a special Havdalah and Tisha B'Av service at 8 p.m. on Zoom. The Zoom links and details about all of these events and more will be in Sunday's email blast. And tonight's flowers, beautiful flowers, were presented by Carol Cornell for the yahrzeit of her husband Edward and by Kathleen and Dean Aberman for the yahrzeit of Dean's father William. At the conclusion of the service, everyone is invited to join the Oneg Shabbat hosted this week by Sisterhood. Thank you, Sisterhood. Shabbat Shalom.
And thank you, Maggie, and thank you also to our representatives from the Sisterhood and the Brotherhood here on the Bima with us for opening and closing the Ark. We're going to conclude our service tonight with Adon Olam, which you can find. That's actually the one that I don't have the page number written for, so bear with me for one moment. We'll find it. And if anyone finds it first, you get first dibs at the Oneg. Feel free to call it out when you find it.
625.
Thank you, Maggie. First dibs at the Oneg. 625, Adon Olam. And many of you are no doubt aware by now that my favorite melody to use for Adon Olam is the Scarborough Fair Canticle, which I'm sure many of you know the tune for. So please join me in singing along with Adon Olam. בטרם כל יציר נברא, להינשא וחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא. ואחרי כפלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה. והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו להכבירה, בלי ראשית בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמזרח. והוא אלי וחי גואלי, בצור חבלי בצרה, והוא ניסי ומעוז לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא. בידו אפקיד רוחי, והייתי שם מהעירה, ועם רוחי גוויעתי, אדוני לי ולא אירא. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, to everyone here in our sanctuary, to everyone who's watching on the stream. I hope you'll take a moment to enjoy some oneg, whether that's at home or here with us tonight. Shabbat Shalom.
Cancer, as usual. Lovely.
Thank you so much.
Lovely.
Great. Thank you. The one I forgot to write the, thank you for finding that so quickly. I knew it was at the back with the hens.
I know.
Well, I'm going to have a giant mark on my forehead, but... Yeah, or should I keep this on for that, or should I just switch? So, well, I was going to switch to a mask, but yeah, I mean, if people, that's fine. I'm just going to have a giant mark on my head.
Suspicion we would have known all the words.
What?
I have a sneaking suspicion we would have known all the words.
I mean, they go in like a certain order, but you know, sometimes they can get mixed, a little
sometimes if you
fermished.
throw
So
in a different music, you know, it throws you off. But,
yeah,
you know, Simon and Garfunkel. I'm an old hippie, so
Sure.
that wasn't going to throw me off.
yeah. Sometimes I think I was born the wrong time. I love my parents.